Very good morning. Myself, Professor Kian Samonshi. Today we will see the concept of the database management system is the SQL. Long form of the SQL is the structured query language. So SQL is a very popular language that used in the software industry. That is a in the system application or the software application. Also, it is a plays the very important roles in the client side programming. Mean that uh, client act as an individual and your server act as a SQL, that is a structure query language. SQL means that basically schema, that is the overall design of the your structure, that is called as a SQL. Mean that it defines the schema of the table or the database systems, or views or the procedure or triggers. So this is called as the SQL. Long form of the SQL is a structure query language. It is a uh, define the schema of the relational database management systems. Relational database management system that consists of the Oracle, Oracle 9i, 10i, SQL, MySQL. So these tools. So SQL plays the very important roles to create the schema, definition of the structure. Mm. Then another use of the SQL is that SQL is a use in the database management system to manage, to retrieve, to insert, to update all the data. Uh, for example, if you have the any table, if you want to insert the one tuple, tuple means that row, then we can easily insert your data in the table, and that table is a page by the client side. Uh, SQL, most of the website that are created in the SQL. mm, for example, your PHP, then then your Yahoo website that created in the uh, using the SQL. Uh, so this is an example of the SQL. Now we'll see the some basic part of the SQL. Uh, so uh, SQL means that structure query language. That is a long form of the SQL. Uh, it is a language, is a database query language used for the storing and manipulating the data in the relational database management systems. Mean that it manages the store your data of the relational database management system. For example, if you have any table, we can manage the data of the tables, and if you have any database, we can manage the information of the database. So it is a structure query language in the is a database query language used for the storing and managing data in the relational database management system. Also, structure query language that define the schema, mean that overall design of the your database, mean that it show the structure of the database. Using the structure, we can insert, update, or delete the your record. Okay, so please note that note this, there is a structure query language. Today, almost all the relational database management systems, mean that MySQL, Oracle, Informix, Sybase, MS Access, these are the tools, or we can say that MySQL use SQL. Okay, for example, MySQL that use the SQL, XAMPP that use the SQL, PHP that use the SQL. Mean that SQL has a standard database query language. So remember that SQL is a standard database query language that is used in the different tools to create the schema definition of the your database. SQL is used to perform all the types of the operation in the RDBMS. For example, it performs the operation that like the insertion, deletion, updating, creating the your information. Also, SQL also perform the some data operation, that is a data types, character. It support for the character, float, then integer. Okay, varchar, there is a data type. Uh, so SQL is very important that perform the all types of the operation in the RDBMS, that is a relational database management systems. IBM SQL language developed as a part of the systems uh, are a project at IBM Sanders Joe's Research Laboratory. Mean that previously we know the SQL, that is a previous old name of the SQL is a SQL language. Then after that, rename the structure query language. Okay, after the SQL language, the structure query language came. SQL became the standard of the American National Standard Institute in 1986 and of the International Organization for the Standardization in the 1987. So SQL is of the support for the ANSI standard and ISO standard. So SQL is a very popular. So it is a standardized general standardized language. What SQL do? SQL can execute the query against the database. Okay, mean that with the help of the database, SQL will execute the query. For example, if we type the query, that is a select the star from the database, it will print all the record of the database. SQL can retrieve the data from the database. Mean that we use the query to retrieve the data from the database. That is the query is the select query. We can fetch your data from the database, or we can fetch the tuple also. We can fetch the individual record also from the database. So SQL plays a very important roles to retrieve the data from the database. Also, we can retrieve the structure of the database also, table also from the SQL. Uh, then SQL can insert the record in the database. It is a very uh, important that we can insert your data in the database. For example, if you want to update your server, we can insert your data into database. SQL can update the record in the database. So there is a update command, and using that we can easily update the record of the database in the SQL. For example, if you want to alter the some information, that is, if you want to change your name, then we use the alter command. SQL can delete the record from the database. So this option is very important in the every application. Suppose you want to delete any record, we can simple delete button. We can press the simple delete button. That is a delete a record from the database. SQL can create a new database. Mean that we can create a multiple types of the database. We can create a database. Mean that we can work with the warehouse, database warehouse. There are different database warehouse and database that consist of the multiple tables, and we use that table anywhere. SQL can create a new database also. Then SQL can create a new table in the database. There we can create a multiple table in the database. For example, database name is the KKW, and in under that KKW, we can create a multiple table in the database. SQL can create a store procedure in the database. So store procedure is a very important. Mean that it is a use in the complex application. Mean that we directly apply the procedure, and using the procedure, it automatically paste the your record from the database. SQL can create the views in the database. So views is very important parts. There is a we can evaluate your information of the database using the views. SQL can set the permission on the table, procedure, and views. So using the SQL, we can set the permission on the table, procedure, and views. So this is about the views. And the next one, there is a standard. There is a ANSI and ISO standard in SQL. ANSI means that American National Standard of Institute. There is a SQL that standardized in 1986. Also SQL also standardized in 1989, and SQL also standardized in 1992, and SQL also standardized in the 1999. When the SQL was standardized in 1999, the language name became the Y2K compliant. The SQL 2003 came. The commercial system offered the most If not all the SQL 92 feature, the plus varying the feature set from the latter standard special proprietary features. So this is some standard of ANSI and ISO standard of the SQL. Now we'll see the some data definition. Uh, mean that we see the some feature of the some points related to the SQL. First point is that data definition language. Uh, the DTL, the long form of DTL is a data definition language actually consists of the SQL command that can be used to define the database schema. It simply deals with the restriction of the database schema and used to create modify the structure of the database object in the database. Once again, I repeat, DTL, that is the called as a data definition language, consists of the SQL command. It can be used to define the database schema. It simply deals with the restriction of the database and the schema and used to create the modify structure of the database object in the database. For example, create is a command that comes under the DDL is used to create a database or its object. Mm, Okay, so this is the create command. Next one, drop is used to create delete the object from the data. Drop is used to delete the object from the database. That is a we can say that this is a drop uh, command. Next one, alter is used to structure of the database. That is a mean that it alter the database structure of that is a alter command. For example, if you want to alter the name of the any field, alter the name of the ID, then alter the name of the table, alter the name of the column field, then we use the alter command. So this is an example that comes under the data definition language. Then truncate command. Truncate is used to remove all the record from the table, including all the places allocated for the record uh, or remove. So this is a very important. Mean that it remove all the record from the database. So this is a call as a truncate command. Then command is used to add the comment to the data dictionary. For example, we can say that we specify the trigger. Then we give the comment that we do the coding for the trigger. Okay, so this comment is very important. So if your comment is proper, then you can execute your statement. Means that yes, look at that the lot of time is required to uh, do the this comment. Then truncate is used to remove all the record from the table. Comment is used to add the comment to the data dictionary. Rename is used to rename the of an object existing in the database. Then data definition language, it describes the schema for each relation. For example, one relation is that if you have created one table, there is a one relation. Immediately describe the schema for that relation. For example, that table consists of the ID, data types, then values, okay, then the size of the data columns. So this schema is a very important. Okay, so this is a schema for the each relation. Next one, the domain of a value associated with the each attribute. Uh, there is a domain of the value. For example, domain there is a name uh, a mobile number. That value is the your mobile number. Okay, so domain of the value associated with the each attribute. The next one integrity constraint. Mean that we apply the some constraint. For example, we apply the rule for the to remove the duplicacy. So we apply the primary key constraint to the your ID. Uh, the set of the indices to be maintained for each relation, the security and authorization information for each relation is maintained. For the physical coverage structure of each relation on the disk. Next one, domain uh, uh, types in the SQL. There are different data types in the SQL. First data types is that character, integer, then small int, then the real and double precision and a float. Okay, so these are the data types that we use in the SQL. Okay, once again I repeat, character, integer, small int, numeric, real, double, precision and float. First one we will see the character, the fixed length character string with the with user specified length, and a varchar, the variable length character string with the user specified maximum length, and the integer, the finest subset of the integer that is the machine independent, and a small int, the smaller integer, and numeric p and d means that fixed point number with the user specified precision of the p digit and with the d digit to the right of the decimal point. Next one, the real and double precision, the floating point and double precision uh, point is a same. Okay, so this is a floating point and a double precision for floating point number with the machine independent precision. Floating point number with the user specified precision of an list n digit. So this is a data type that comes under the SQL, that is the structure query language. Next, that is the second part of that the data query language, long form of DQL, that is a data query language. DML means the data manipulation language. Statements are used for the performing the queries on the data within a schema object. The purpose of the DQL command is to get the some schema relation based on the query passed to it. Mean that DQL is using that we can understand the relation that query we have already passed it. For example, we pass the query that is a select. Mean that we understand the relation. Okay, select from which table. Okay, selects from which columns. Okay, first we understand the relation. Okay, so this is the call as a structure. Uh, this is the call as your data definition language. So this is an example of the DQL, that is a select, is used to retrieve the data from the database. Uh, please note this. And next one, data manipulation language. The manipulation means that the command that deal with the manipulation of the data present in the database belong to the DML or the data manipulation language, and this include the most of the SQL. The statement example, that is a DML example, is that insert. Okay, is used to insert the data into the table. Okay, so this is a data manipulation language. For example, there is a table of 21st rows. Then you want to add the your table in the database. We can easily add the your table in the database. So this is very important that insert plays a very important role, and insert have the very valuation in the market. For example, if any programmer that doing the any site, then the database is not created, database structure not created, database schema is not created. At that time, the SQL plays a very important roles. Update, that is it comes under the manipulation, is used to update the existing data within a table. Okay, for example, if you want to add the update command, that is the update the name of the speaker, then only we use the update command, mean that we alter the name of the your skipper. Then delete is used to delete the record from the database. That is very important rules. So using the delete command, uh, we can easily reduce the database table. Then next one, data control language. The DCL include the commands such as the grant, revoke, for which the data DCL means the data control language. Include the command such as the grant and the revoke, which mainly deal with the rights, permission, and other control of the database management, example of the system. Now we see the example of the DCL. Uh, uh, gives the user access privilege to the database. Then the revoke, uh, uh, without user access privilege, they given by the using the grant command. Okay, so this is the call as the revoke. Okay, mean that grant mean that we can easily access the particular system, easily access the particular record. So this is the granting, and revoke mean that without a user access privilege give by the using the grant command. Next one, DCL, data transaction control language. The TCL command deal with the transaction within the database. Okay, for example, commit a transaction. For example, we are simultaneously executing multiple transactions. If you want to commit, then we can at a time we can close all the operations. So this is the your grant command. Okay, so commit command that plays a very important role. Rollback a transaction in the case of any error occur, then we do the rollback. If the any error occur during the procedure trigger, then rollback the use. Okay, mean that we achieve the your instrument. So this is the example of TCL commit, rollback, save point, and the set transaction. Commit mean the transaction, and the rollback transaction in the case of any error occur, and save point the set save point within a transaction, and set transaction specify the characteristics of the transaction. Now we will see the one example of create a table in the SQL. Uh, for example, if you want to store your table in the database, then you need to first create the database. After that, create a table in that. We can add the multiple table under the database. Create a table statement is used to create a new table in the database, and SQL relation is defined using the create table command. Okay, mean that we use make the help of the SQL relation, and using that we can create a table. Here is the syntax of the table. That is a table. Create a table. Table name, column name and a data type, column name and data type, column name and data type. Column name is an attribute and the data type is also attribute. For example, here we take the mobile number, that is the integer is an attribute. Where we take the address, that is the varchar is your data type. Okay, so this is a syntax of the creating the table in the database. The column parameter specify names of the column of the table, and data type parameter specify the type of the data the column can hold. Okay, so this is the data types is the varchar, integer, and date. Next one, SQL create uh, example. One example. The following example create the table called a person that contain the 5 columns: person ID, last name, first name, address, and city. So these are the column. Now we see that this example create a table person. Then the person is a table name, person ID integer, last name varchar, last name varchar, last address varchar, and city varchar. So these are the some syntax of the SQL, that how to create a table in the database. Person ID column is the of the type integer. So we can say that this is the person ID, that is a type of the integer, will hold an integer. Last name, first name, and address and city are the type of the varchar. So these are the types of the varchar, and will hold a character, and maximum length of this field is a 25 character. SQL insert statement. The SQL insert into the statement means that is used to insert a new record in a table. Insert into syntax, it is possible to write the insert into statement in two way. The first way, they specify both the column name and value to be inserted. Insert into table name, column 1, column 2, column 3, and value 1, value 2, value 2. Okay, so there is another formula to insert your data into the database. Insert into the table name values, value 1, value 2, and value 3. So this is about the insertion of the data into the database. So this is a command. There are two ways we can insert your data. Okay, so today we will stop here, and we will meet in the next lecture. Okay, thank you.